Get ready for the Squawking Eagles Podcast.
And welcome back to the Squawking Eagles Podcast. I am Mike, and I'm joined today by Miguel and Mark. How's it going, guys?
Damn right. We're the Eagles, and we're better than you, and you know it.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
Just sitting here 5-0, you know, just how it is.
Yes, enjoying some Philadelphia winning, watching the Phillies just dismantle the Atlanta Braves last night, 10-2.
Blowout. That was beautiful.
Bryce Harper with 2 bombs. Like, boy, I love baseball. I love Bryce Harper, man. Bryce Harper.
The game's about to start.
Game's about to start now. We gotta put that on there.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on.
So on today's podcast, we are going to give you're hear a little bit about Mark's take of the Rams game, because he didn't give us any of his in-game takes. We're going to give our one word for the game, and then we're going to bring in some Jets football knowledge from our friend Sean. He's going to come in and talk Jets with us and preview that game.
Sounds like a good time.
It's going to be good. It's going to be great.
It's going to be a great time. Fellow member of the number 1 club. Let's go.
Before we start, I wanted to let you know we can subscribe to us on YouTube at Squawking Eagles Podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram. In the next couple of days, we're going to be releasing some exclusive content on Instagram where you can subscribe and get exclusive stuff from us. You know, we're right there. We just hit about 8,300 followers. Instagram has granted us subscriber privileges, so we're going to start using that.
Nice.
Yeah, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcast, please give us a follow and a comment below. Let us know what you want to hear or what you like, and what we can do more for you.
We do love the comments. Keep them coming.
I love the comments. I do have a comment today. I have a comment. I
got a couple.
I took a picture of it. We have a follower on Instagram. He's a real follower. He's got a lot to say. He's always there first time saying stuff. His name is Giga Thompson 95. I'm sure he's listening. Here's his bold take for the Jets game. His bold take is Hurts will finally go off for 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. Brian Johnson's going to make him work and walk home. Big play Slay will also get a pick in a 35-24 win. Go Birds. So, you know, Giga Thompson 95. I like that score. I like that a lot. Keep those comments coming. All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about this Rams-Eagles game. Mark, let you go first. Let you hear about your in-game takes and what'd you take.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously, overall, a win's a win. Another one we're happy with. The game started off a little slow. Well, I'm always happy with the dub. I understand, everyone talks about, any given Sunday. And we always talk about, how everyone wants such a high expectation for the Eagles. And at the end of the day, like everyone says, do you remember how we played against, any team during the run of the Super Bowl, with the exception of the Super Bowl win back in 2017?
Sometimes the kick that
you remember
Elliott did against the Giants, yeah.
But I mean, we're winning games by 3, or we're winning games by 27. Like, it's a win. And you look back on history, you go, that was a win.
You're not wrong, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
I get it. We're looking at we as Eagles fans, we know we're coming up to a gauntlet here in just a couple weeks. We're going to run through with some of the top teams in the league. But you know what? We're a good team that knows how to win. We've had our mistakes. I will say personally, I still don't like how often we're leading with passing. With our O-line and the runners we have, particularly in Swift. I get that we're still one of the leading rushing attacks in the NFL, but we just got to pound it early and hurt these guys so they stop. I mean, I think a lot of the issues we're running into is a lot of these early passings that are kind of, we're fizzling out our drives, and then suddenly the games are close where I feel like we just run it down their throats a little bit more early. We're up a lot higher, a lot faster, and we don't have to worry about it as much. I feel like last year we ran the ball a lot more early, which is why we had so many blowout games, because teams were constantly trying to crowd that line and stop Sanders and Gainwell and Scott back then. I mean, we got Swift, who's way better, and we're just not quite doing it the same way. I will say I was a little disheartened by our defense this week, knowing that Cooper Kupp was going to play. I, to myself, thought, they're probably going to ease him in. And I figured, if you have him covered by Slay or Bradbury most of the day, should have really no real problem. They should understand how he's going to play. Slay gave him too much of a cushion, almost too much respect. Bradbury, I don't remember seeing Bradbury cover him. That was a lot of our younger guys trying to cover Kupp, who, yes, I understand he's coming back from injury, but you can't deny the guy's one of the best receivers over the past couple years.
Mm-hmm.
You don't take a top 5 receiver and give him to a corner who's only learning the position today. That's a recipe for disaster. So Kupp was able to, eat us up there for a little bit. I think we held pretty good on their run. I don't remember everything exactly. Like I said, I had a pretty busy weekend, and pretty busy week. So, but I remember correctly, we held pretty well against their run. They had a few big plays here, there, passing wise. But we're not going to run in, we're not going to go up against a Cooper Kupp every week. I think this week we're going to have some focus. We'll get in on that with Garrett Wilson. But let's be honest, if we're looking at the quarterbacks, Zach Wilson's not quite as good as Garrett.
A little different.
So, yeah.
The defensive line is drooling this weekend. Let's just say that, guys.
Yes.
That they are. We'll see how that goes. I also was really happy to see Reddick really get in on these plays this week. I think he needed it. I think a lot of people, a lot of fans were kind of questioning and hesitant. And the whole time I was telling myself, he had that thumb surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's hurting him. He's not getting after it the way he could. He had a club on the first couple of weeks. He finally gets the club off. And look at this man come alive. He's already got 3 sacks this season. Yep. I have a feeling he's going to double up that number very quickly. So overall, I think, yes, it wasn't a pretty game, but I'm not looking for pretty. I'm looking for wins, and I'm happy to see the Birds are still 5-0. I think people are underestimating us. I think a lot of people I've talked to are saying, we're going to face Miami. We're going to face San Fran. We're going to face the Bills. We're going to get smacked. Yeah. And I just don't believe it. I think people just don't realize who we are as a team right now. And I'm okay with that.
Well, to that point, I just think that people look at how we're not scoring in the red zone and putting up field goals is why they're questioning how legit we really are. And you saw Kelsey get mad on the sideline during the game, and he even brought it up during the post-game press conference.
Mm-hmm.
They're mad. They're not putting the ball in the end zone like they're supposed to be when they get into that red zone. They kept stalling out. Anytime they get in between that 20 and that goal line, they have a hard time. And for the life of me, I can't understand.
Well, he even talked about it on the New Heights podcast. He was talking about how he was frustrated with the fact that they get in the red zone and they can't punch it in. They can't, and then they can only do it if it's the brotherly shove and it's 2 yards in. He wants to be better, and they all want to be better. And I keep talking to people. I was talking to my friend the other day, and he said, "Don't worry about it. The Eagles. Each game they show you one weapon. Last week was Dallas Goedert.
One week
was Swift. Another week was AJ Brown. I'm going to guess this week is going to be Devontae because he showed some disgruntledness on those sidelines, and Sirianni had to go and talk to him. And
there's only one Sauce Gardner.
There's only one Sauce Gardner. He can't cover all of those guys. And so
I do want to know. I want to ask you guys, why do we keep going? Like, no offense to the guy, because I know we all loved him here in Philly, but why do we keep going back to Gainwell when we get within the 20? That's my other issue.
Yeah.
You'll watch us do the whole drive. We get to the 20, we pull Swift, and you see Gainwell hit a hole for a yard or two. And then, there's nothing more to it. And it happens consistently. It's every time he gets, every once in a while he gets a good play, and I'm not down on the guy. I want to still use him. But we can't just say, 20-yard line, Gainwell's in for the next 4 or 5 plays.
Right.
Use them when you can, when you have to. But I think we still got to get our guy back in there.
I think it's a look that they're trying to run, just
not
overall, so they can expand on it. But yeah, it's either bad substitution or it's just bad coaching, game planning.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Johnson in the game planning, but
I don't know what
I'm still not a big fan of his style.
You got to remember he's a quarterback. He's going to throw. It's going to be quarterback passing first, then run. It's that's what he showed. That's what he's shown to do, and that's what it's happening. And there was one play where Jalen was running for, I think it was 3rd and 12 or something, and he got hit. I don't know if anybody saw that, but his one leg kind of hit weird on the ground and kind of almost like a little bit of a hyper extension. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I did see that.
That scared me. I thought that was going to be trouble. I do not
like seeing Jalen run this year. He's not running the same. He's running like very hesitant and cautious.
Yeah.
Well, and the design runs are terrible. They're such a tell. Every defense knows it.
That's something that's been brought up like the last 3 weeks, and I completely agree with you. But we also got to remember Jalen's added on weight. You know what I mean? He's not playing at the same weight that he's playing at last year, so he's going to move a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he moves a little bit more cautious this year. You know, he got the big contract. You don't want to get hurt, so he's getting to the sideline a lot quicker than he was last year when he was going for that extra yardage and making those sacrifices to get that extra yardage. So, I mean, I think it's just him just trying to be overly cautious.
No, I agree with you, Miguel. I think
there's times where it's just not good. Like there's times where he goes to scramble and there's 10, 12 yards in front of him and he'll just hesitate. I know he's looking for the play downfield. I get it. But then all of a sudden there's nothing there and he'll start to go and he goes like a half step above a walk. And so instead of getting 5, 6, 7 yards, he gets 2. And then throws himself to the ground, which don't get me wrong. I want him to slide. I don't want him to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But like we know, even putting on a little bit of weight, he slimmed down fat percentage. He put on a little bit of weight. I guarantee you that man still has. I mean, he's had his plays where he's shown his burst. He can still put it down.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I mean, if you're going to scramble, I really wish Johnson would tell like, hey, once you're outside the pocket, if you're going to scramble, got it. Go, get yourself 5, 6 yards, hit the dirt, stay safe. But this like. I mean, when he gets past line of scrimmage and he starts still running almost like he's still behind it, like he's still kind of looking for something. And I don't get it. It
is different. I agree. It is different. He isn't running as fiercely as he was last year. And it could be a lot of things. Who knows why? Maybe he's just conserving his energy. Who knows? Overall, the game, let's get into our one word for the game. Overall, the game was, the defense gave up 14 points in the first half and then nothing in the second half. They showed that they can dominate a team and shut them out. There's still room for improvement, and that's okay because it's only week 5. We don't want to be perfect in week 5. We want to be perfect, in February. That's when we want to be perfect. The one word I would say that would describe this game for me would be continuity. They need to have the continuity where they can spread out the ball to Devontae Smith, to Dallas Goedert, to AJ Brown, and have the continuity of we know what we're doing here. You can't just focus on one guy and then leave these other guys just hanging in the wind. I don't like that. I don't, I know they're showing, the Eagles are putting on display what they can do. I think they need to put it all together and be a show a full continuity of a game plan. I need an actual real game plan.
Just to point on the secondary, you guys both keep bringing it up, and I just think that Slay is covering whoever the best receiver is for that team, and you got to remember we're hurt on in the defensive backfield, and I think because of the youth that's back there, the experienced players that they have back there, they just play these soft zones and try not to get beat too deep, which is why we see so many of these big cushions. I mean, they haven't hurt us until yet, but there's going to be a team that takes advantage of that if we don't get our shit together quicker.
I agree. They're doing a lot of this, 10-yard buffer. And people are not liking it. I have people on Instagram telling me it's like, why is Sean Desai having such this huge, blanket, this huge buffer between
the very like bend don't break defense, but it's still breaking.
Yeah, that's what Jim Schwartz used to do. That's all he used to do. Jim Schwartz is the bend don't break, and you're going to rely on those defensive linemen to get home, and they're not. They got home quite often. With 5, 6 sacks last week.
Yeah, well, the problem is it's so hard to get home when you're giving them that much room. Because then teams they're just throwing the ball so fast that like even when How many times have we watched highlights now? I'm sure every Eagles fan has watched multiple highlights. Even people who aren't Eagles fans have to deal with it, and we're going to laugh at them anyway, of Jalen Carter throwing through a double team. I mean, the man gets off the line and is through the first block almost instantly, but the ball's out the quarterback's hand before we can get there. You know, when you're used to playing teams that hold the ball 3-4 seconds like a normal quarterback, and suddenly they're playing us and they know we're so far off that they don't have to anymore. It kind of, you know, you're weakening our strongest point, which is that D line. Like, I'd rather see our corners up on the line, you know, 5 yards off up on the line, jamming them, have the safeties over the top, give our D line a chance to get home. So that way, I mean, yeah, there's a chance we get beat deep once in a blue moon. I still think our safeties can be there for it. But I mean, if that quarterback has to hold that ball, he's not staying up.
But check this out. If you start the game pressing and chasing the receivers in the beginning of the game, by the fourth quarter, the DBs are going to be tired and gassed and get beat over the top. So, I mean,
you don't got to worry about that.
There's some strategy to it, you know, of trying to save your defensive backfield from getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, but
you know,
by the fourth quarter,
have so much money in that defensive front that they got to get to their spot. I mean,
yeah, again, but if you're putting their quarterback in the ground 5-6 times in the first half, guess what? That second half, you don't have to worry about your secondary trying to keep up. That quarterback is on his toes, freaking out.
Mark, the team on the other side pays a lot of money for a lot of good players as well. It's not like, you know, they're playing nobodies. Those guys, they have a strategy, they have a plan. You know what I mean? Like, you have to figure the chess pieces out. I mean, we can't go in and just dominate right from kickoff. You know what I mean?
I mean, we did last year. Why can't we go back to it this year?
I mean, the schedule was easier last year.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I mean, you look at it. I mean, we got a lot of sacks, you know, early in the game last year by pushing hard, and then in the end of the games because they'd just be tired. You beat the hell out of them, they just get tired. You know, I mean, we got a lot of the same guys. I think we got a little bit of upgrades. You know, I think we can handle it. I think we're being a little too soft. I get being a little soft trying to get your guys to last, but, you know, especially right now, if teams are constantly running short routes, you start getting up on them early, you don't really have to chase because they're only setting themselves up for 5 to 10 yard routes anyway. You know, because they expect to have that open. Suddenly it's not open. They try to switch deep, and at that play, you got Jalen Carter or Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat eating that quarterback. That's just how the play goes. I mean, we have the chance to get beat. I get it. And I understand you don't want to burn them. I get it. I'm just saying right now we're playing it so soft, we're tiring out and hurting our D line. And we're watching our D line fall apart now.
Yeah,
not good.
Fletcher Cox was out last week because of a
Carter is out right now. I don't know if he's going to play. He hurt his ankle in practice.
And Slay is he's been missing. He missed past 2 days because of an injury too. It's gonna be interesting.
So we're getting hurt all around. But I mean, last year was a fluke. We had so much health; it was unreal.
Yeah,
well, it's the NFL. Nobody's healthy all 16, 17 games that they play. So,
all right, Miguel, Mark, give me your one word for this Rams game, and let's close the book on it. Who wants to go first? Mark, you go.
Sure. All right. My controversial one word of the week is Dallas. Because Dallas Goedert had a phenomenal week. Finally putting together the proof of just how good of a tight end he really is when we start utilizing him. And on the other hand, our rival Dallas Cowboys couldn't get their shit together. And we saw our favorite quarterback down there do exactly what he's best known for, becoming the interception man.
Yeah, through 3. That brings his tally up to 4
pretty quickly. And that, you know what? I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. I understand San Fran is a phenomenal defense. Nothing against them at all. I think they were great. They did what they had to. I don't think that's the best secondary in the league, though. So if he's throwing that many picks there, wait till he starts facing some other secondaries.
Should be fun. Miguel, what is your word?
I'm going to go with the word growth.
Growth. Yeah.
You start seeing the offense when they start to first of all, like I said last week, we got to get Dallas Goedert started, just like Mark said, and that's exactly what they did right from the beginning. He was a presence the whole game. So, you know, that was growth from last week or the last couple of weeks where we've seen nothing from him except for blocking or having a couple good blocks.
And wide open plays.
Yeah, getting left open, unfortunately. But we got to see him utilized more this week. We've seen the defense make adjustments to contain, whatever target that team is deciding to go to at that point in time. So I'm seeing Johnson and the offensive coordinators start doing things that in the beginning of the season we were questioning. It's just the red zone. The red zone needs to be worked on, and we'll see more growth hopefully this week against the Jets.
Jets. And that's who we're going to talk about right now. Are those New York Jets? We are going into MetLife Stadium. And what we like to do is we like to get a perspective of the fan of the team we're playing. And for the first time this year, we're going to have a fan. And that fan is Sean Beckerman.
Wait. We gotta bring him in properly. This is wrestling royalty.
Oh, okay.
Wrestling royalty right here.
You have to unmute
Beckerman.
yourself there, Sean.
So from Lawrenceville, New Jersey, the 215 New Jersey State champion, Sean Beckerman. All right, Mark. What's good?
I love it.
Brother?
Hey, now
Thank
that's
you,
an
Sean. Thank you, Sean.
Mike, how long have we known each other, Mike?
I was distracted. I was trying to unmute you.
You know how
And
bad that sounds?
That sound bad. You need to edit that part. Yeah.
I'll have I was trying to unmute you and try to get and do things at once. I really can't.
Going
do
on
two
almost
things
30
at
years, pal.
So anyway, you're a lifetime Jets fan.
Switch the subject.
Lifetime Jets fan.
Yes.
We like to bring in fans of the teams that we're playing, and Sean has gratefully said, "Yes, I would love to come and talk about my Jets."
Yes.
Now, this is a different conversation because we would have probably had a little bit of a different conversation if Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback at the helm, and this game is going to be completely different now that he is not there. And it's been a few weeks. I like to talk to you about Aaron Rodgers not being there and how those 4 snaps of football with him under the center was for you.
Well, let me do this right. Let me talk to you. Now, So, as a Jets fan, Mike, you know this. Miguel, you know this. I'm sure, Mark, you know this. You're always negative, no matter how good things could be. They never disappoint me. I've trained my children to never get excited about the Jets, or else they'll be let down. That's why I allow them. Well, I don't mind if they cheer for other teams. Like my oldest will cheer for the Ravens. He likes the Ravens for some reason. I'll allow him just to give him some light at the end of the tunnel, something. Light. Because as a Jets fan, you get beaten down over and over again. And this year, I think, was the pinnacle, to the point where, Mike, you would make fun of me for things that would happen. Miguel, you could take shots. I've never experienced something to happen like what took place 90 seconds in to Aaron Rodgers' run as a Jet, where my assistant coach I flag football with came over. He hugged me the next day. He felt bad because it was that bad.
It was.
I remember sitting on my couch watching, so excited.
Yeah, Monday Night Football.
I was wearing my Aaron Rodgers T-shirt. I have the jersey yet. Luckily, the jersey came in the week later, which is so wonderful.
Perfect timing.
Next year. Yeah. And I wore it. I'll wear it every Sunday. I still wear it. But watching it, we talked about this before the season began. I was concerned about the Jets' offensive line from the get-go. Aaron Rodgers was worried about it. But when it happened, it was such a surreal moment to where you think, we cannot have anything nice. You can't give us anything nice. And would I think we're going to go to the Super Bowl? No. It would be nice to make the playoffs and break a streak of making the playoffs and get some hope and life into a team that's been stagnant for over a decade. But what really hit me when he went down, right? But then what really hit me was seeing Zach Wilson back on the field playing quarterback, with 13 minutes left in the first quarter. And you're thinking, what happened? I can't believe this is happening.
Oh shit!
And I had to train myself. I screamed. Luckily, no one was in the house because I screamed. I punched the couch. I flipped out, and then I just sat in like shock for like probably a good hour and a half.
The rest of the game. The rest of the game was.
And then I'm excited they won, but then after they won, I'm still facing the realization. It's like after a hangover.
It felt like a dream.
Yeah, he was still lost. Aaron Rodgers probably for the full year. I knew it was Achilles. I just knew it. The way you could see it snap.
Yeah,
when his foot got stuck. I knew it. I knew it when we heard the results were negative for his ankle. I was like, oh, it's got to be Achilles. It's got to be. I was hoping to see a slight fracture or something. He'll be back in 6 weeks, whatever, 4 to 6 weeks.
Well, so he is on pace. Like I was watching.
He's doing great.
On
he
pace.
Is. Yes.
Like
he's
in a walking boot.
Not normal.
He's like 6 or 7 6 to 8 weeks ahead of schedule. So that's
the only quarterback. The only person he's behind in healing from injury is Mahomes. But we all know how that goes.
We'll talk about that. I'm on your side now, sympathizing with the ref calling with Kansas City. Okay, so
I will say, so I this summer I watch Hard Knocks, and I understand you have preseason and TV. Not everything always up to the hype. I've been saying recently that like I like some of the draft picks. I
said that. Yes, you said that
last year. Yeah, I liked some of the players you guys have been drafting. I like the coach, and I honestly was like, I'm pretty excited to see how this team does. I still personally expect us to beat them, even when you had Rodgers. That's just an Eagles bias.
I'm not going to doubt that. I understand. Yes, you're a tough team.
Like I said, I was talking to you before the podcast. I love that they beat the Bills. I was really expecting them to have a little better season. On a backside note, I've been watching the stats. They're not pretty, but I will say Zach Wilson does have a higher completion percentage average this year than his past couple. He's got a better quarterback rating. And his touchdown interception ratio at the moment is it's looking better than it was.
Because he took off that stupid rag last week off his fucking head.
the Cobra Kai Karate Kid. Yeah.
I do think I really believed. I said it to these guys before. If Rodgers didn't get hurt, I really strongly felt that in 2 years Wilson would have been able to take over and actually had a chance to be a really good, at least a solid starter for the team and not what he's been. I think I already think he's performing better because of Rodgers being there. So we'll see how the next year or so goes for him.
He needed the time. He needed the time to be under him and watch him rather than 4 snaps, and that's it.
He's had injuries too. Zach Wilson has been out for injuries last couple. Really, this is his rookie year in a way, because
you guys didn't have an O-line for him when he first came in.
No, and Bronco watching last week's game. I'm counting with my son. Barely 2 seconds to get the ball out. Still, I'm like, how's the kid supposed to do something? You can't give him a second to throw and look downfield. Gotta give him some protection.
Gotta be a fun week.
That's what I'm scared about with the Eagles defensive line. With now AVT going down for us for the second straight year. First it was the triceps, and now we have him out with another Achilles. He's gone for the entire year. So it's shifting our offensive line where we have from right to left, Becton moving from right to left. It's just a hodgepodge. And what made the Patriots so dominant? Of course, Brady, but they had a steady offensive line for all those years.
The line was always good.
Yeah, you need a core offensive line. I'm a lineman, so I'm biased to linemen, but you need to have a steady line, and you need to give, no matter who it is, even if it's Aaron Rodgers back there, you need a line to protect for him. But that's besides the point. Zach Wilson, I know we're talking about, is I'm seeing progression. At least it's something. The Kansas City Chiefs game really showed I want him to either do well, or extremely well, or just fail miserably. I didn't want he 200-yard passing. We run it a touchdown, doesn't throw, has an interception. Just good enough to go the next. He did extremely well considering he had the fumble. He admitted he cost us. He said it cost us the game. He took responsibility. We go.
If you want to continue to have him play well, just have the other quarterback's moms show up to the game,
right?
Because Mama Kelsey was at the game, so that's why he played out of his mind last week.
That's what he needs, right? Yeah, he needs Taylor Swift. You just need them, Let's get
he's into moms. Remember,
he's Cougars.
Mama
he
Hurts.
Cougars.
He likes moms.
That's what he likes.
He's a mom guy. All right, so
go ahead, Miguel. I'm sorry.
Go.
Sean, do you think that the Jets franchise is cursed?
Yes. Yes.
What
Some
do you
people
think the
say
curse
that.
is?
Well, some people say that Joe Namath slept with like a
He sold
spawn
his
of
soul to the
Satan.
devil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or didn't call back someone that's related to Satan, after one night stand, and they've been cursed ever since. I definitely think he sold his soul to the devil there. It's amazing, the shots. Brett Favre coming in, I heard a lot of comparisons. This wasn't a Brett Favre situation. Brett Favre was put into a Jet system that didn't change for him. He didn't want to come here. He wanted to go to Minnesota. It was a stop for him to go to Minnesota. Aaron wanted to come here. He did. He wanted to come here. He took a pay cut to come here. He wanted to come here. We built a team around him, and it's going to take a few weeks for us to adjust for that, because you throw in Zach Wilson, and he's put into an Aaron Rodgers system, and he's not Aaron Rodgers. So you have to work around what you have. I think our offensive coordinator, Nate Hackett, did a great job this past week, but we need to see improvement. The problem I have with this week, I think I talked to Mike about this. I was hoping for 3-3 with Aaron Rodgers going the first 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I had is us losing to the Patriots. I was expecting us to beat the Bills, beat the Patriots, lose to the Pats, Cowboys, and Eagles. Us losing to the Patriots really screwed up the schedule, in my plans. I would have been happy, ecstatic going 3-3 in the bye week for us, facing a terrible Giants team, the following week. So it's going to be tough. But I'm not sure if you guys heard of our coach, Robert Sala's comments yesterday, right? What he said about the good old tush push. I texted you. My son texted you, Mike, about this.
It's called the brotherly shove. That's what we refer to.
He
It
said he
now.
can't wait to give Mr. Hurts 11 kisses.
Like kisses, yeah.
Kisses.
Meaning that they're aiming for the head this week.
Yeah. I cannot stand that. My 8-year-old can't stand it. He texted Mike when it was happening. We were watching it. He goes, "I hate that. That's cheating. It's terrible. It sucks."
Yeah,
and you can't practice for it because people get injured. You can't practice.
A legit play. No one has been injured. Only 2 people have been injured on that play all throughout the whole NFL. 2 people.
And they're Giants players. So
if you practice,
Giants run it.
I'm glad I'm not a Giants fan. I tell you that much.
92% of the time, it works
all the time.
I'll say, it's funny. It was like just before last year when I first started listening to New Heights, when that first came thing. One of the things Jason Kelsey said, and the funny thing is, his brother said, "What would you do differently on an offense?" He said, "We should run more quarterback sneaks." He said they have the highest success rate of any play.
Yes.
Teams don't do them.
Yeah.
They're great. We started running them. Yeah, I get it. We have the brotherly shove, the pusher. We've done it. You go back and watch. There are times where we run that play without anyone pushing. No one gets behind Hurts. Just let Hurts run. Everyone else gets in front.
I think it's the intimidation factor too. It's intimidating.
It's coming.
Kelsey said he'll walk up to the line and be like, "You guys know what we're doing."
Right.
You just look right at the D tackle, be like, "You know what we're doing."
He actually says, "Here it comes. Here it comes." You know it's going to do it. So
I don't know if you guys saw Dallas game. Dallas tried it twice and they failed.
Yeah. It's 81%. The rest of the NFL is 81%.
What happens
and they try to mimic it. You try to mimic it. You can't. You can't. Unless you practice it and you're afraid to practice it, you can't just run it. You can't.
Look, all right. So Sean, you might not know. The guys here know. I'm also I'm a college football fan, Oregon fan. I'm a Herbert fan. They tried it this week. It didn't work well because Herbert doesn't go at it the way Hurts does. He doesn't dive down and push. He tried to reach over the top. Yeah. And yes, he is 6 foot, 6. He's got the reach.
That's an instinct
but
to do
that. But it just wasn't quite enough. And you risk the fumble. Hurts you never watch Hurts risk that. He tucks it and he just plows his way. One play, he did reach yards afterwards. But I mean, they were telling you that since middle school. Keep your feet moving, you're going to make it. That's just what we do.
I've been impressed with Hurts. I have a couple questions for you guys in a little bit. We'll talk about that's Eagles related, but that impacts the Jets, which probably know what I'm going to ask. What's going to maybe happening, but. I like Hurts. How would you compare him to a McNabb? Would you consider him one of your top quarterbacks of all time that you've had, or you need more time to see him?
I don't know if you listened to all of our podcasts, but
not all, maybe about 2. No, I'm just kidding. Not all of them.
I am a fan of McNabb, but I also am very much not a McNabb fan.
You were that way in high school, remember? He
threw the ball in everyone's feet. Like James Thrash can't catch the ball if it's on his shoelaces. Todd Pinkston can't catch the ball when it's at his feet. Todd Pinkston can't catch, but he can't catch with his feet. So McNabb, McNabb is. He could have been a better quarterback if Andy Reid was Andy Reid now. Like
Andy Reid now?
Like Andy Reid now. Like the reason why Patrick Mahomes is so great right now is because of Andy Reid having McNabb and Vic. Right. He learned from those players, and he learned what to teach them and what not to teach them. And that's why Patrick Mahomes is so great right now, because of what Andy Reid did with McNabb.
He's great because the referees help him too. This is part of the story.
That's a whole that is a whole other story that's going to come to a head at one point, because
I thought you guys were just it's so I understood there's validity, but I was like, whatever, until it happened to me and my team. Then I'm like, I understand completely. It's astonishing.
But to answer your question, I think Hurts is definitely a better quarterback than McNabb.
Okay, that's what I was curious. Yeah, because I've heard comparisons where, there's, because you talk about all those years the Eagles were dominant, early 2000s. They were just every single year they were there with Andy Reid at the helm. And looking now, and I think your team is one of the best teams I've seen in probably 10 years, the Eagles, I'd say. I mean, and that's what I'm concerned about this week, because our offensive line's in trouble. You got a great defensive line. But the Jets have to stick to
yours, though. Like, I love cue ball. I love some of the guys on your D line. You got a real strong rookie.
I love my D line.
And,
yes.
Yeah, and Quinnen is a monster in and of himself. I love your guys' D line.
Brother is out playing him right now. His older brother. It's it's one of the best backs in the game right now. He's playing so well all around. Our corners. We know about Sauce, but offensively, we have to get back and stick to the running game. The Breece Hall needs to right now he's ranked 28th in carries.
My fantasy hurts because of him.
Trust me, he's gonna be getting the ball now.
It's hard to run the ball when your line doesn't give you any holes to open. So
he said all he needs is a little bit to break. But now, I mean, I think they were protecting him on a pitch count.
Not anymore. That's released.
Yeah,
no more
I say he's not. He did well the past couple of weeks, but I will say personally for me. So again, Sean, I know obviously you haven't been privy to all of our conversations. I've spoken about it a lot. When we first drafted Hurts, I was not happy about it. I felt it was a wasted draft pick. He shut me up last year. I'm a big fan of how he's developed. I will say for me, I look at him and say, yes, so far, I like your progression of having, you had a rookie year where I guess you were kind of on the bench for some of it, kind of playing like it was rough. And then we have him playing. And then last year, like we had really good growth, took us all to the Super Bowl. And now this year, I feel like, all right, you got the contract. Things are looking good. And I would say at this moment, I look at him and I say, what's going on mentally? And I feel like, yes, I really do like him as quarterback. I don't know if I would say at the moment that he's like one of our all-time greats. I think he will be. I think he has, I guarantee you he has the potential to be the greatest quarterback that Eagles have ever had. There's no question in my mind about that. But I think something inside of him right now is messing with him. I don't know if it's a mix. I don't know if it's the coaching with this whole new offensive coordinator and maybe it's just some of the play styles and how they're reading him for him. But we've dissected too much of this past couple games where, like we were saying earlier with Dallas Goedert, first couple games, he's wide open on multiple plays and doesn't get a look. And the plays will either go for no gain, they're thrown away, or they go to someone who's in double coverage. There are some plays where I look at what he's doing and I'm wondering, but I do think that he can, if he does get himself out of this, I think he's in a mental slump. I think if he gets himself over this, I do think he could be the greatest quarterback we have. But at the moment, I wouldn't say he is.
Miguel, you have something to say.
I just feel like, and Morgan, please don't take this personal, but I just feel like you feel like we should just go in and dominate every game, and that like every week they're game planning, they're doing things different. Being a quarterback on that field, I can't imagine how it feels to be back there and having 6 or 7 300-pound plus men running after you, you know what I mean, coming after you, and you have to make a decision.
Tough to get a
Yeah,
W.
you got to make a decision in 3 seconds. You know what I mean? And we're only five games in, and we've seen him grow from those mistakes that he's made in the first 4 games, and we haven't really made too much of a complaint of the last 2 weeks or so. But it's a slow growth. Like it's going to take time for him to even look like similar to what he looked like last year. You know what I mean? Things change. The NFL is an amoeba. Like it shifts to whatever the new trend is. So
I agree.
that's what we're seeing is a lot of trending.
I take no offense to it. As my only, I guess, for lack of a better term, counter to it, it's just that there's too many times. Like I agree with you that when you get that ball at your back there and you got 3 or 4 seconds, you got to make that decision. There's got to be so much pressure. There's a lot going on, a lot to calculate. I guess my biggest point is how many times I've watched him stand there for like 7 to 10 seconds because our O-line is giving him that time, and yet he still can't make the decision, or he still doesn't find the open guy. If it was, hey, 2-3 seconds and you miss a guy, that happens. I get it. There's a lot going on.
Winning games, though.
But
you're winning games.
When you're there for that long, you're right. And that's why I'm not too upset with it because we're still winning. But I'm just saying, like, when you have that much time and you're still not making the right decision, that's like my only area where I'm like, all right, I would like to see that change. Like, if you have double the amount of time of any other quarterback in the NFL, you shouldn't make the wrong play.
Which he is. I see. Your protection is strong.
It is, but he's trying to protect the ball. He's trying not to force it in any small windows, and he doesn't want to give the ball over. Like he's done that enough with the fumbles. Like he doesn't need to be throwing fucking interceptions as well. You know
I get that.
So
he has thrown 4.
I can see, I can see the hesitation. So I'm sure he wants to keep that interception number low. So even though we think that he should,
4.
Yeah.
Even though we think he should throw the ball quick, maybe he sees a defender somewhere in the vicinity where he's like, if I throw that, he probably can get to that ball. Let me not throw it. Let me throw it away or run the ball or slide or whatever.
I think, as I mentioned earlier, with his caution with his runs, I had the same thing with his caution now with these throws, is that he looks at it and goes, maybe they could be there. But because of him taking that extra second or two, those corners are now getting there. Like, I think on a break, you've got AJ Brown across the middle, and it's like on that break, that corner's the best time they're going to be with an off step. But because he hesitates and goes back to it later, that corner now caught up. The safety is now adjusted over. And I think that's where we're seeing the few mistakes that are happening.
They also brought that up. I don't know if you guys watch on YouTube. It's almost like the HBO documentary, but they do it for the Eagles. They brought that
the Jets
up.
have one too, very similar one as well. Take flight for the Jets.
And they were saying because the teams are flashing AJ open and disguising another defender somewhere else is why we don't see Jalen make that throws, because he's seeing that other defender. Even though we see it on the screen that he's open, he's seeing that other defender that's hiding that they're scheming for. So I don't know.
We would probably
a lot of different schemes.
We would probably see it if the angle was better. If it was like the Madden angle,
we're not seeing it. Yeah, we're not seeing the angle he's seeing.
I'm calling for the Madden angle, and we need to see the Madden angle.
I'm surprised, especially with the popularity to tie it together with the younger kids.
I know,
to get more eyeballs on the team to make it look like the video game.
I thought Amazon was going to do that. I thought they were going to be different and do that, but
I was hoping. I've got the Prime Vision up right now, and like I like some of the things they've done. I kind of like the overlay. You got to see some of it, but I wish they did have a few more camera angles to see things. And but yeah, I just like I said, I mean, I agree. Don't get me wrong. I do agree. Yeah, he's reading them, and I'm glad he's reading them. But I just believe at the moment there's definitely plays that he's hesitant on because he's assuming rather than playing with his read, because the amount of time he has. Pat Mahomes just throw a pick. Let's go. Sorry about that. I love seeing Pat Mahomes throw picks. I love seeing Josh Allen throw picks and Dak
on the baseball side. The Phillies left 4 people on base in the last 2 innings.
I saw that too.
That's what that's painful. That's what
the Mets or the Phillies. You're saying
the Mets are home washing their clothes.
The Mets were at home after the first game of the season. Again, they were at home after that point.
Just like the Jets.
All right, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this Eagles Jets game. We talked about how the Eagles have a defensive line going against a Jets offensive line that is what you'd say piecemeal together right now because of injuries.
It's duct tape. Yes,
duct
super glue.
Duct tape and super glue.
Yeah.
We saw what pretty. The Rams' offensive line was pretty good. They were keeping everybody away from Matthew Stafford and gave him enough time. You can see if you give a good quarterback the right amount of time, and you have a good receiver, you can do some damage to the Eagles.
Puka.
Puka Nuka, whatever his name is.
Puka Nakua.
Pikachu.
And so, what I think is that I don't think Zach Wilson can think as fast as Matthew Stafford back there. He struggled against the Denver's defense. And Denver's defense is.
It wasn't necessarily him struggling. He didn't get any protection. He tried the best. Again, I'm hard on him as any Jet fan.
But that's the problem. Yeah. If you're not going to give him. What's the matter? What's happening?
I thought he let a home run go, but he called it. March called it.
Yeah. If they, we're all trying to watch the Phillies and everything.
No, I don't watch baseball now. Baseball's dead to me right now.
How do you watch it? How do you watch any sports at this point?
That's the problem. That's the problem. I don't watch anything.
Philly fan.
It is a good time. October is a good time to be a Philly fan.
You got a lot going on here.
All right, so let's talk about. Let's get everyone's opinion and their little about what they expect from this Jets game. I'll go with you first, Miguel. Wait,
Me?
I have a quick question.
Let the guests go first.
Oh, you want to hear what you want to hear? I was going to say Eagles guests, Eagles. We're going to finish it that way.
I just have a quick question for Sean.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not obviously I'm not a Jets fan. Obviously, I'm very familiar with Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, Zach Wilson. Who's your guys' next best passing target after Wilson?
That's the problem. I mean, they haven't thrown much to Hardman. They have, McCall Hardman is excellent. They haven't utilized Lazard. Cobb, I think, is maybe a little overrated at this point.
Green Bay 2.0.
I think Al Lazard maybe is best. That's the problem. They were thinking about getting another receiver because none of the other ones have been stepping up just to give some Garrett Wilson, something to bounce off of because Garrett Wilson's your number one guy now, especially with him building this rapport with Zach. But Lazard may be someone they need to rely on a little bit more.
I need to have your first round pick next year, right?
I'm starting in my fantasy team this week.
But imagine if you guys tank and you guys end up getting Harrison to side by side with Wilson.
No, what happens is like it happened
that would be disgusting.
3 years ago when we win a freaking game, last game of the season. Instead of getting the first pick of the draft, we get the second pick of the draft. We could have Trevor Lawrence, and then instead we got Zach Wilson. All right, next.
That's a big drop off, though.
Either way, yes. I guess my point was asking about that was that I feel like with this upcoming week, I mean,
you need more
cover Garrett Wilson with Slay and just put a safety over top. Rest this week.
Yes.
Just throw the ball to Conklin. He's starting on my fantasy team. I need him to.
I love Conklin. He's tough.
I have Garrett Wilson in 3 leagues.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. That's if Slay plays. I don't know if Slay's going to play. It's going to be.
Then put Bradbury on him.
Bradbury got toasted by Puka last week. Like, what happened with that? Anyway, so let's go with our guests. Sean, what are you expecting for the Jets to show up and to do against this Eagles 5-0 defense, and what do you think they're going to do?
Well, Miguel, thank you for letting me go first. Yeet. So we have. I look at it this way: we need to have 2 big plays, whether it's a defense stepping up, creating a turnover, or us getting a fluke play. Whether it's we do a surprise on some type of play. We need 2 of them to somehow get a shot here. We can't just rely on playing straight football against the Eagles. We'll get dominated. We need 2 big opportunities to come our way for us to have a shot. Stick with the running game. Breece Hall, 22 touches last time. I think he needs to be at least 15 to 20 at least. Hopefully he could break one. That's the only opportunity we have to win this game. Reduce the it's going to be, I don't know with our offensive line right now. Max Mitchell supposedly was going to fill in now. We'll see. We'll know probably soon. As about an hour ago, that's who they were thinking as the number 1 option to place AVT being out. I'm concerned about our line. I don't know, but we have to run heavy, and then reduce any mistakes by Zach. That's the big thing that he's been trying to mitigate those dumb plays. Even that one interception he had last week, he admitted, it was an error by him. He was looking at the wrong target. He wasn't seeing the field properly. I think Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee show, understood his thought process there. So I'm not too worried with that. But we can't let up the big play, mitigate mistakes, and try to force 2 big plays to go our way to have a shot. Other than that, it's going to be a very difficult.
Who scares you the most on our offense?
Honestly, I'm afraid of Hurts. I am. He looks like a Madden quarterback. Sometimes I think I'm watching my son control him on TV. Like he'll have 7-8 seconds. He's just scrambling all around, and he can't get sacked. And he throws the ball away. Doesn't create a turnover. Only 4 interceptions. That's not bad considering the competition you played. I'm worried about him. I am. That fucking tush push. I hate it. I'm worried about that.
Actually,
I am.
Denver just successfully ran the tush push.
Did they?
Yes, they did.
Oh wow.
They got the ball back. Their fumble was.
It's called the Mile High Drive when they run. It's called the Mile High Drive.
Do we have a list?
Apparently, they're coming up with names for everybody.
You have a list?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, it's called the Rock Bottom Drive. Okay.
For the Jets, is Zach Wilson? Is it called the Cougar Maneuver?
Cougar Maneuver. There you go.
Well, when the Jets and Mark Sanchez, it's called butt fumble. That's what it is.
Yes, it is. Oh man, what a great day!
But I mean, I have to be a Jet fan. I have to pick my team. I will pick my team. Granted, I wanted to go into this 3-2, but we're not. You know, instead we're 2-3. I say we make 2 big plays. We win 20-17.
2017.
20-17.
Wow. For the first time in how many years you're gonna beat us?
12.
Never beat you. We never beat you.
The Jets have never beat the Eagles. They're 12-0.
We couldn't beat one streak a couple weeks ago, so we're going to beat another.
Yeah.
You're not going 17-0. I'm sorry, even though I love it. Mike goes, my predictions are correct after week 2. 2 check marks.
You like that? Our check. I was going
to say,
it's hours. It's hours. I had to change it to hours.
The predictions.
The first week I said
so far
mine,
so good. 2-0. We're right.
I got chewed out. It's our predictions.
Yes. So
all right. So okay, you got Jets winning 20-17.
Only if we get those 2 big plays.
Okay. So if you don't get those 2 big plays, then what?
28-10.
28-10 Eagles.
Eagles. Yes. That's what I say. You know, us playing smart, no big mistakes, stick to the run game. 180 to 200 yards of passing from Zach Wilson, 2 big plays. We got potential. Other than that, sorry, you're done.
You're done. All right. Miguel, go. Let's hear it.
All right. Just real quick on the jinx part, Sean.
Yes.
I've always said that the Jets will forever be jinx until they move out of MetLife Stadium. Just so you know, like
to get away from the Giants. Yeah.
Yeah, get away from the Giants. I don't feel like they'll ever be a contender at all.
Second fiddle.
Right.
No matter how dry and gray they make a stadium, so it's not between 2 teams.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think them for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
At least the Rams Charger Stadium's nice looking.
It's a nice stadium. It is.
And it costs just as much as that MetLife Stadium that they built.
And no freaking dome. And no dome in New York.
Right. And there was so many Eagles fans at that stadium. That was a home game away. That was a away home game.
That's gonna be that way. It's gonna be that way on Sunday. It's the same thing. You'll see it. There were so many Chiefs fans. Well, that's for a different reason, but
Yeah, the refs too. Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah, they were wearing red and white. The refs, and if you noticed, they were wearing that too.
Yeah, black and white, red and white.
I tell you though, as real quick, I mean, as defensive linemen, offensive linemen are assholes. They know what to do. They'll grab inside your shoulder pads, grab your jersey, and hold you tight, so the referees can't see their hands. And a lot of times they'll wear the same color gloves as
Travis
the
Kelce said that
against.
Yes,
Travis Kelce brought that up. Yep.
So you don't notice.
As a former D lineman, I'm very familiar with this.
It pissed me off. Piss me off. The hold every play, which is standard. But I mean, when it's that blatant in front of the ref, you got to call it. Come on. Anyway,
that was a really bad
bitter.
no call for the hold.
Yes.
I also want to point out. I know it wasn't the same game, but the week prior to that, with the penalty. End of the game where what's his name was one of the defenders was in the end zone and took his helmet off. They tried to a penalty for
they told him to put it back on. They told him to put his helmet back
penalty
on.
for roughing the passer, which they said no. They said the ball was tipped. It wasn't tipped. It was against the Vikings. It was the Vikings game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said roughing the passer, or it wasn't roughing the passer. And it's like, but he still took his helmet off. It's still a 15-yard penalty. Like, you can pick up everything you want. It's still a penalty.
Still, yes.
Yeah.
And he didn't call it. And that's just blatant. Like, there's no like, oh, he didn't. Like, it's obvious. There's no,
He did.
He
do or you don't.
He was
It's
on
not
the
judgment. Yeah.
He was on the field still.
There's no judgment call there. You did it.
Yeah. It's a black and white line. Took his helmet off. Penalty.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah. Not good. Not good. They won't do it. They won't do it for the Chiefs.
I think Paul Heyman said it. The NFL is a work.
It definitely is. It's all scripted.
All right,
we
Miguel.
already know.
Yeah.
I think, shit, without Aaron Rodgers there, I think I predicted it early in the season, or preseason, that this would be the game that we lose, because I wanted us to lose this game in case the Jets did get to the Super Bowl and I didn't have to hear.
Are you overlooking this, Miguel? Are you overlooking this? Looking ahead to the Dolphins? Are you overlooking us? You think they're worried about next week as opposed to now?
No.
Thanks,
Our
nowhere.
our coaching staff doesn't allow us to look ahead.
Okay.
We go 1-0 every week. 1-0.
All right.
So, with that said, I feel like, wait, who's your backup quarterback?
Tim Boyle.
We're going to see that guy. We're going to see that guy by the third quarter.
We're gonna see him.
Yeah, we're going to see that guy by the third quarter. I think the Eagles are going to handle Quentin Williams just as good as they handled Aaron Donald last week. And if you noticed, Aaron Donald was all over that defensive line, and he couldn't do shit.
Yeah.
So I'm loving it. This is going to be the first blowout prediction that I'm going to give for the year, and I think it's going to be a 42-7 blowout.
42-7 blowout.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I like that point. I like those points.
Yeah.
I bet you do, pal.
Sean's a little
Yeah, he's mad. He got red in the face there.
Real fast.
I'm sorry, brother.
All right, Mark. What do you say?
See, he does it to me too, Sean. He can't get our names straight.
I'm bad with the name.
Sean, to give him Mark. The simplest
50
name.
years
4
from now.
letters. Like
Last
you
week
on our
his name was-
podcast, you got Mike. You got the Spanish word for Mike, and you got Mike.
Yeah. Last
How do
week
you get our names
I don't
wrong?
know how that pulled that off. I don't know how we did that.
Last week he called Mark. I think Margell.
Margell.
Yeah, Margell.
Margell.
Look, looking at these injuries, I'm like, if granted, I don't know anything about the Carter injury, so he did not practice. Maybe it was minor, and we just decided not to, didn't want to rush it, didn't want to, hurt anything on like the last real practice of the week. I don't know. I'm hoping he's healthy. He's a big, important part. I saw Nakobe Dean come back from IR. He's back to his 21-day window of practice. Will he play? I don't know. If he does, I think it's going to be rotational only. I don't think we'll run him in to start this week in particular. I think, give him some time to continue healing up, maybe get some plays just to kind of season him a little bit. I don't think we're going to be in dire need for him this week. I know a lot of people saying, with the way Murrow's played, do you play Dean? And I said, of course you play Dean, because one of the touchdowns we let up against Washington doesn't happen with Dean on the field. He reads the field better. I'm not saying that Murrow's not doing great. Murrow is doing great. He's doing some great with his tackling. He's definitely showing up. But I still stand by the fact that if you go back, watch week 1, and you watch the ends of the games last year when Dean comes in, Dean is the conductor of that defense, and he reads the plays. He knows how to make the guys move. He knows where to be. He's very, very smart. And I think he's going to be a huge, huge asset to us the more he can stay on the field. But I do think, this week, there's a chance Breece Hall gets a few little runs against us. If Carter's not playing, if Cox isn't playing, maybe that middle's not quite as strong. However, Breece Hall, you're on my fantasy team, so you're not going to end up doing too well this week. It's just how it goes. Garrett Wilson, I do think, is one of the top receivers in the league right now, but he just can't. When you've got Zach Wilson throwing and no one else to help, it's really easy to cover one guy. So the more I watch this, the more I'm saying 38-9
38.
I think the Eagles are going to come out and honestly, I think we're going to hurt
that
the
little
Jets a
faith
bit.
on defense. I understand our offense, but come on, our defense.
You know,
Yeah.
I would normally say yeah, but like we said before,
Yeah.
like I do believe in Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
But Sauce Gardner is going to cover Brown, who's still going to get open. And who are you going to put on Devontae Smith?
Dallas Goddard.
Who are you going to put on Goddard? How are you going to stop Swift? Because your D line, I like your D line, but your D line, like a lot of other teams, this is something I was thinking about the other day. Because I saw San Fran keeps working. He's got another pass rusher. I've said it before.
Gregory from
Everyone's
Denver.
so obsessed with these pass rushers that a lot of teams do not have the bodies in the middle to stop a good run anymore. And when you've got an O-line like ours and a running back as good as Swift, it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt a lot of people. I don't see the D-lines in the league right now that can really put a stop to our offense if we run the ball more. And I think you run it more, you're going to start seeing teams load that box. I say it every week. You're going to see teams with 8, 9 men down there in that box to stop that run if we were to run it more. And then all of a sudden, you're putting Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown on islands. And I'm going to take that every day of the week. So as much as I respect your D-line, the defense as a whole is not strong enough. And the birds are going to feast. The birds of prey.
All right. So with all this blowout talk, forget about you, Mitchell, Miguel, and Mark. Let me ask the two of you. Aaron Rodgers starting.
I also have the injury report here.
Mitchell, excuse me.
This guy.
If Aaron Rodgers is starting, how much does this sway? Are we still looking at freaking
Massive.
48-9? You know,
No,
what
massive
difference?
Yeah.
I would
Huge.
say I'm thinking 24-17 Eagles if it's us against
Closer.
Rodgers.
Okay. So
Yeah,
Miguel
yeah,
shaking his head
close.
no. Or you think
Because
No,
he's gonna-
yeah. No, I agree.
He gives your
Yeah.
offense there's a whole different style because like Rodgers goes up to a line, doesn't matter what team he's on. Rodgers goes up to the line. He's going to see the defense and he's going to read it 10 ways till Sunday.
Yes.
He knows
Yeah.
every defensive scheme out there.
Yeah.
I've watched clips of him, of Rivers, of Manning walk up and point to players. They're in the wrong
You this way.
spot.
Tell them where to go.
Yeah, they'll point to the
line.
defense. Like you're in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
You're not lined up properly for your setup, and they won't get. And he's right.
Mhm.
Rodgers is. I mean, you can't deny how good of a quarterback he is. He's obviously a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. He's gonna be a huge difference. He makes your lesser receivers good. They makes Lazard and Cobb weapons, which then makes Wilson absolutely elite. It's a huge difference. And Wilson, like I said, I think he had a chance to develop under Rodgers. He's thrust back in so soon. He doesn't have the opportunity to do it against the team that we have. And, you know, Robert Saleh, if you watched Hard Knocks, he does a whole speech about how if you want to be the best, you be an Eagle. Because the Eagles fly up high. They stop the crows.
He was watching
Because the Eagles are the
fuck he was
best.
talking about. He was reading TikTok.
He
no
knows
idea.
how great it is to be an Eagle. Because he knows it really is to be that great to be an Eagle.
So I have the injury report here. Did not practice. Jalen Carter, Justin Evans, Darius Slay did not practice. Sidney Brown, Nakobe Dean, Jack Stahl, and Marlon Tuipulotu all limited practice. And then Fletcher Cox and Rasheed Penny were full practice. So Fletcher Cox will be back. I'm going to say Jalen Carter will be in that lineup. He's not going to want to miss this game.
Yeah, probably.
He'll be in there.
I got a question for Sean. I talked to you guys about this the other week.
Mhm.
Sean, you've been a fan of football. You know who Fletcher Cox is. Pretty respectable D tackle. How does it feel knowing you're going up against a team where Fletcher Cox is considered pretty much a backup rotational player half of our time anymore?
Like I told you, though, I predicted us to lose this game with Aaron Rodgers. I thought we'd be 3-3.
Yeah.
With us losing to the Eagles is one of the 3 games. So I'm concerned. You know, I mean, the Chiefs game made me more confident that we can hold up against teams like the Eagles, you know, but I'm still concerned. I would be lying if I didn't say so. And I think we weren't strong enough with Aaron Rodgers to beat you guys as well this year. And that's with me hating the Eagles and being a Jet fan. I'm saying that you guys have a strong team. You do.
Well, thank you.
And
I just
struggled with
saw that the
but
other
I
week
saw it.
when I saw the fact that Jalen Carter would take a break and Cox would come in. And I thought they're going, if I'm the O
But
line,
here's your rotational. Yeah.
yeah.
Boy.
Not
Like,
a lot
I've
of
heard so many
teams have
times.
that.
No.
I've heard so many
So
times
hard.
about like again, because I've been listening to a lot of New Heights the past, obviously with Jason Kelsey. I think it's a phenomenal show, even if you're not an Eagles or Hughes fan. But he's mentioned multiple times like how players look forward to that break when those starter D linemen, when Aaron Donald goes off, when Chris Jones goes off, when Quinnen Williams goes off. It's like, all right, I got to play to kind of catch my breath. I'm going up against a guy who's just not the same.
Yeah.
And when you were sitting there going, all right, Jalen Carter, this freak is going off the field. Thank God. Oh, it's Fletcher Cox.
Or Jordan Davis.
Well,
or
Miguel
Jordan
said
Davis.
earlier on,
I like it.
17 games. It's a long season, and no one's playing 100% healthy. You know,
No,
so
you're
having the
very right
rotation plays a big. It's a marathon, and a lot of teams that can stay the healthiest, who survive, succeed. I mean, we lasted 90 seconds. So
Four snaps.
Or snap.
I'm so sick of
I
lasting
guess-
90 seconds of my life. So that's the change.
So now you got me thinking. I didn't think about this earlier. I want to ask real quick. Let's say the season continues down a road you're not happy about, but what's probably a more predicted road at this point with maybe let's say a 10 to 12 loss season for you guys.
Mm.
If at the end of the season, last 2-3 games, Rodgers can actually play,
No.
do you even want him to?
No, not at all. We're the conundrum either way. Kind of leads to my question for you guys as well, because things may happen come our bye week after this week.
Carson Wentz.
Yes.
What?
No.
Carson Wentz. Carson
No.
Wentz is going to be your quarterback after the bye week.
Mitchell. No.
Nick Foles.
So
Nick Foles will be.
Kirk
let's
Cousins.
discuss it. I have a twofold
Kirk
question.
Cousins.
First one, the rumors since Minnesota's debacle, there's rumors of Kirk Cousins being traded. Do we make a trade for? And I'm asking you guys, you know better than anybody. Do we make a trade for him to have him, right now sit, maybe even start ahead of Zach, because Zach performs poorly, against that poorly, or do we ride it out with Zach for the remainder of the year? Let's see where we land. What do we go for Kirk? Would he make a big enough impact to get us to the playoffs?
I'm gonna take this one, guys. Me personally, I don't think that any quarterback you bring in at this point is gonna help you.
Yeah.
If I'm the Jets ownership or management or whatever you want to look at it at coming up at this deadline, I want to see offensive linemen that are available. I want to fortify my offensive line right now and play out the rest of the season with Zach. If I can get some better linemen in here and protect him more, let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the season, y'all need to make a decision on him again anyway after this, right?
Yeah.
So, you got Aaron Rodgers coming back. You want to protect him next season, and then if you view Zach as your future, you keep him, let him learn under Aaron Rodgers. He's probably going to play like another 2 seasons. Fortify that line now while you can. That's what I would do.
Man, I like the idea. I agree with you. I don't think anyone who you could bring in will, with the timing of it, would be successful. We need somebody other than a Tim Boyle when something happens, because who knows? Does Tim Boyle can play and Brock Purdy, who knows?
I do want to cut in real quick and say Kansas City just tried to push and failed.
Good.
So turnover on
Good.
downs for them.
Good.
Secondly, I want to say they're trying it. They're just not as good. It's a play there.
No.
Yeah.
I will say that personally, if I'm looking at your team situation, I like no. It's as much as I think it'd be kind of nice to get someone in there and have that chance. For one, I think you run the risk of damaging the ego and morale of Zach even more than it already is. I think he was upset when you guys brought in Rodgers, but I think he's learned and developed under it. I think bringing in another quarterback to replace him will hurt him more. And secondly, I think rather than try to come back, try to have a winning season that gets you nowhere but a mid-round pick. Because let's be honest, if you know for a fact your team's not Super Bowl bound and doesn't even have a chance, which no offense with Zach Wilson this year, you don't. With the O-line that you have, you just don't right now. I would rather see the team play what they could. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say you should tank. But if you're going to lose, more than 50% of your games, you might as well lose them and draft a top star O lineman next year to help that roster. Or if somehow he's available, you get a generational talent like Marvin Harrison Jr. and you've got two of the best. You got the youngest, strongest wideout duo in the league. Like, I'd rather see that development than try to bring in another quarterback and just end up mid-tier like Dallas. You don't want to be Dallas. So
Eagles fan, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not fans of the Dallas Cowboys.
No shit.
You know, whatever chance we get to take a little cut at them, we'll do it.
Who do you guys view as your biggest rival?
Oh well, it was the Patriots for so long. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah, but
what
now
it
they're
still
gone.
is. Can't freaking beat them. You know, Belichick's happy if he can go 2-15 as long as the 2 wins are against the Jets. He's fine. He's
Wasn't
happy.
there a thing
Yeah.
where Belichick drafted a tackle before the Jets,
Yes.
and that's what,
Yes.
and then the
We
Jets
talked
ended up
about
taking,
this.
yeah,
We talk about it live.
yeah.
Yeah, when it
Yes.
happened. You know, from that point, I just had a sick feeling in my stomach. He just does it to stick it to the Jets.
Yeah.
Second question I want to ask you real quick, Mitchell, is do you think we're in a conundrum either way, being a Jet fan, because we're talking about the Jets. We're after this game, after we lose, let's say this game, but we pick up a couple wins and we're in contention for the playoffs, right? And Aaron thinks he can come back in January. All right, that's what he's saying. We're in a conundrum. So Zach's playing well enough to maybe get us to the playoffs. Do we then pull him to put in an Aaron Rodgers who may not be healthy enough, may re-injure himself, or do we ride it out with Zach? It's a conundrum either way.
Yeah,
If we're close.
I agree.
If you take Zach Wilson out and you put Aaron Rodgers in, and they go, let's just say it's hypothetical, they go to the Super Bowl, Zach Wilson will be damaged and he'll never play as a Jet ever again, because he just won't. He'll be damaged. Just like look at Carson Wentz.
Could be Carson Wentz. Yeah,
Carson Wentz injures his, tears his ACL, whatever.
I don't know. I think it's different because you
It's
saw on
definitely
Hard
different.
Knocks. Hard Knocks, he idolized Aaron Rodgers.
He loves him. He loves
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
I say
And if
Wentz
Aaron
was
wants him
replaced
back, he's
by
coming
Nick
back.
Foles, who couldn't throw a pass past 15 yards his entire first stint with us. Then he comes through and just happens to pull off this miracle run with our team. It was amazing, and Wentz fell apart because he knew he could. I still to this day believe that we win more dominantly if Wentz never gets hurt than what we ended up doing so with Nick anyway. And that just broke him. That, and he tried to rush back his injury. If you're saying, unless Wilson, in my opinion, turns around and goes, look, Brock Purdy, who? And goes undefeated the rest of the season, like a hot hand without throwing picks, and it's just perfect. Yeah, you're going to replace him with a Hall of Fame quarterback. A 50% Aaron Rodgers is still better than probably, I would say, 70 to 80% of other starters in the NFL right now. Like, I would take a 50% Aaron Rodgers over Howell, over Daniel Jones, over Dak Prescott, over Russell Wilson right now, over Derek Carr. This isn't just a Zach Wilson thing. This is how many, Mac Jones, you're telling me if you called up Belichick right now and said, all right, you can have Aaron Rodgers, he can walk, he can't run, he can throw the ball, or stick with Mac Jones, he's going to take Aaron Rodgers. It's just what it is. Unless, like I said, Zach Wilson turns around and is absolutely unstoppable. If they just eke their way in with a couple close games here or there, you're gonna play Rodgers.
I just want progression, and since Kansas City, he's shown progression. It's not knocking my socks off, but he's getting better and smarter. That's all I can ask for right now.
I do think he is good. I will stand with you on that. I do agree. I said at the beginning of the season, I talked to these two about it. I think Zach Wilson's getting better, and I think with Rodgers, if Wilson keeps his ego in check, sticks with the Jets while Rodgers plays the next 2 seasons or so, he will come out the other side at a better rate than what Jimmy G did coming out underneath Brady.
I'm telling you, that tight ass bandana was cutting off his blood and circulation to his football part of his head.
What are you
And
wearing?
put the
that
helmet
for?
on top of that.
Yeah.
You saw how good he played out after he took that shit off. So I'm telling you,
Well,
something
this
to it.
game
He
is
has things
determine it,
better.
guys. This will determine it because we'll see. Because this is a better team than Kansas City. You guys are better than Kansas City. I said it even last
Thank
year.
you. Thank you.
Yeah,
But
thank you for
this
sure.
will
I agree.
see his progression because we beat the Broncos. Who else do you freaking do? All right, beat the Broncos. Who cares?
Beat the
We'll
Bills.
see what yeah.
I still love that.
That was under adrenaline. They were under adrenaline. They needed to win that game. They had to win that game.
We're how the Patriots are to us is how we are to Bills. Bills just they shit the bed with us all the time. But this is the game I want to see how Zach performs. They're going to have heavy pressure. He's not going to have the offensive line behind him that he had before. Even that was weak. And this is going to be a true test of where he's at. I'm not saying that if he doesn't have time, but I want to make right decisions given the little time he'll have in the pocket.
Well,
so we'll see.
I don't
Especially
think
in
he's going
terms of
to.
this
I
game.
don't think he's going to have any time in the pocket.
I agree.
He's not going to be able to stand back there and look for Garrett Wilson because Garrett Wilson's going to be blanketed.
Yep.
And he's going to try to run the ball. And what happens when we run the ball is that we have players that knock that ball out. Jalen Carter knocks that ball out. He causes those fumbles.
He likes them.
We're going to see some fumbles here. I think we're going to see some fumbles, and we
Don't
might
get the ball to Dalvin Cook then.
We might see Dalvin Cook. Why did they even get him? Like, what do they even run these guys?
I was okay with it.
So much better than Dalvin Cook.
I was
like,
okay
why
with
did
that
they pick him up? Why?
They were just so concerned about too much pressure on Brees. But I like Michael Carter better than Dalvin Cook right now.
You guys
put Michael Carter and Brees
Hall.
Yeah.
I will say, not to sound like an asshole to you, Sean, because again, I do see high hopes for you guys.
That's right. Michael's that way all the
time. This week, I'm saying now, every once in a while, I try to give like a player projection. I honestly think we're looking at Hassan Reddick with 2+ sacks. I think Carter and Sweat could both get a sack this week. It's painful. I hate to give you guys a 4-sack game.
We're going to see more sacks than we did against the Rams.
What's a sack record for a game?
Damn.
Well, see, Khalil Mack already had 6 in one game.
Yeah, Khalil Mack looked nasty.
I think it's 7. I think it's 7.
7 or 8. I think it's 7 or 8.
We could break that.
So
this would be the week.
This is going to be. I think this is going to be a game where
they had 14 sacks in a game in 52. The Eagles.
1952.
Damn. Yeah, against the Giants.
All right. Well, I don't think I don't think we're going to break that. That's disgusting.
It says Derek Thomas recorded 7 sacks against the Seattle.
So one single player then. Yeah.
Derek Thomas, man, he was great. He was a great player. Philly's just tied up the game. That's like.
Most
and the Kansas City
Eagles have the most. The Eagles have the most sacks in the game with 14 against the Giants in 1952.
You know what? You were right. It's a good thing you're not a Giants fan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's just made up for us to break that record against the Jets. You got to do it.
Everyone says it every time we play them, but it's just not.
Yeah. I don't think the Jets Jets have a great defense. I don't think their defense is going to be able to.
If they're on the field for 3/4 of the game, they're going to be exhausted.
Game. They're going to be gassed.
They'll be on the field 3/4 of the game. It's not going to. You can't.
And I think
offense not going to be on there long.
Yeah, and I think the Eagles are going to break out their you're going to break their red zone problems, and they're going to score 28 points. And I don't see the Jets actually scoring a touchdown. I can see 2 field goals, 28.
I think I said 9.
28-6. I don't see them scoring a touchdown at all. I really don't. Like
I went with 3 field goals.
If anything, Garrett Wilson's going to be covered. Like this game is going to answer a few questions too for the Eagles. If Slay doesn't play, can Bradbury cover Garrett Wilson? If he doesn't, there's been talks about Patrick Surtain and then a trade to the Eagles. I've just recently been reading about that.
Yeah, because the Jets are having a fire sale on defense. They also talked about getting the safety.
Yeah, so if the Broncos are starting this. If the Broncos start selling, I think the Eagles are going to have to go get Surtain. That's a whole other story.
I wouldn't be upset with that.
No, he's a good player.
Because Slay and Bradbury are both older too. I'd be okay with getting Surtain.
I'd be interested to see what the offer was for that.
It would depend on the cost, of course.
Yeah. So Eagles win 28-6. They could become 6-0, and we'll see you Sunday night or Monday night against the Dolphins. That's it.
Sunday night.
And that's going to be also the Eagles' first game wearing Kelly greens.
Yeah, let's go. Break it out. I got to come get my jersey.
Better green than the shit green you would normally wear.
Mike, I need my jerseys.
Well, you come watch the game on Sunday with me, and you can have the jersey.
I'm about to say I'm about to go to your house anyway. So,
Sean, you can come watch the game too. What's that?
Yeah,
I'm nervous about that Sunday night game.
Yeah, that's
I'm
our predictions. That's our first loss right there.
I am more nervous about that than I am against San Fran. I'm not nervous about. I really think we literally hurt San Fran.
Yeah, I'm not afraid
Miami.
Of San Francisco. Yeah. Well, I think we saw the Bills kind of gave us a game plan, and I know we'll talk more about that, but I think we have a game plan against the Dolphins.
I think they're overrated in a way with Tony Khan Jr. as their head coach. Fucking whack job he is.
I love their coach. He's so
nutcase.
much
He's a
fun.
nutcase.
He is awesome.
He's nuts.
Yeah, so I think the Eagles go 6-0, and the Jets game is going to be in the bag. And I think the game's going to be over by halftime. I'm going to definitely say that. So hopefully, Sean, I want you to get on our group chat, and you can give us your post game. Give us our in-game takes during the game. You can send us some voicemails, and we'll get you on that.
It's going to be a lot of curse words.
When I was making last week's, man, Miguel was going off on the curse words. He was bleep this, bleep that, bleep that.
Well, it's the first Sunday I got to actually sit and drink and watch the game, bro.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. You can definitely tell that. It was great.
Drinking releases the curse words.
I have, as who I am, I've got a really big weekend ahead of me because obviously we have the Phillies playing right now. Hopefully they just win this call tonight. Saturday, for those who know, as a college football fan, my Ducks are on College game day. They're playing against Washington, top 10 ranked teams. It's going to be a hell of a game. But just so everyone who out there is listening, coach of Oregon was the former D coordinator of Georgia, who built a lot of the boys that we now call our favorite defensive players. It's going to be a great game. I'm super excited for it. It's going to lead into a fun game on Sunday against the Jets. It's going to be a great weekend for football.
Yes,
since you want to bring up college football, I
always brings up college football.
Yeah. I rarely cheer for my Miami University, but the way that they lost this week, bro.
Ooh, that was tough.
That was fucking heartbreaking, man. To see that dude on the sideline crying, saying, "What the fuck are we doing?" That was ridiculous.
Bro. That costs. My buddy did a 20-leg parlay college football last weekend.
20 legs.
That game cost him like $7,000 payout.
Jesus.
He hit every other call just to lose to a terrible play.
It's always one.
It's rough. I will also just throw out there, because we were talking about with college football, there's only 2 teams in college football with a top 10 scoring offense and defense. Number 1 is Georgia, because of course it is. Colorado. And number 2 is Oregon. Go Ducks.
I'm a Penn State
Let's just
fan.
Fly.
So.
All the birds. Let's go.
Yeah.
Sean, wanted to thank you so much for coming on and talking your Jets with us. Maybe I can
hop on if you want for the postmortem. If you want next week to recap, and I can hop off.
You can totally do that. We can give a little take of what you saw in that game
before you take flight.
Yeah.
Yes. That will do it for us. Again, follow us over on Instagram, Squawking Eagles Podcast, YouTube, Squawking Eagles Podcast. We still have the TikTok and the X, but follow us on those other 2 first.
I'll work on the X if you want me to work on X more.
X.
I'm happy to keep up with that.
Now, because soon you're going to have to pay to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what he's trying to push.
They're going to a pay per use.
Pay to use.
So they can get rid of all the eggheads.
Well, they'll make some new one. Someone always will.
They did. They came out. Yeah, Threads, but nobody uses it. It died like in 2 days.
Yeah, that's true. Well, either way, you know what? Go Birds. That's all that matters.
That'll do it for us. Thanks you for listening, and tune in for the post-game show after the game. And you know how we do it.
Jets, Jets.
Let's mute him real quick.
Mute.
You know how we do. EAGLES. Eagles. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Oh,
hit that music, Mike.